wisdom and a deep understanding of life through the works of Xuemo. So where everything we share is not created from personal opinion, but comes directly from his writings and lived insights, translated and unfolded into a form that can be understood across cultures. So what you're hearing here is not abstract theory, but a living system of thought expressed through literature and grounded in real experience, something that has been walked, observed, and continuously reflected upon. And today we begin with an important theme, 明实单义做标杆, where 实 represents far-sighted vision and ability to see beyond the present moment and grasp long-term direction, while E reflects a deep awareness of uncertainty and potential risks. And this awareness is not fair, but a kind of inner vigilance that comes from understanding how fragile and constantly changing life reality is. So this idea is not a distant philosophical concept, but a practical way to position oneself in reality, balancing clarity of direction with sensitivity to change. And through this lens, we begin to explore how a person can remain steady, aware, and aligned, even in a world that is constantly shifting and uncertain. Awareness here refers not only to foresight, but also to a sense of certain concern, a sense of concern. And this kind of awareness is not simply knowledge or information, but about the ability to perceive future trends, while remaining sensitive to potential risks, and a kind of intelligence that looks forward and inward at the same time. Those who possess true foresight are rarely controlled by immediate gains or losses. They do not change direction because of short-term benefits, nor do they lose clarity due to temporary fluctuations, because what they are looking at is not the result of this moment, but where the path ultimately leads. So you may notice that some people seem to move slowly but consistently in one direction, while others appear busy and constantly changing, yet are actually going in circles, because without foresight, a person is often pushed by circumstances rather than making conscious choices. And what we call, hi, I see many new friends here. Thank you for your time being here. And if you are interested in inner growth, you can subscribe to our channel. And what we call a sense of concern is the ability to look beyond oneself and remain aware of a larger context, including the other people, society, environment, even a long-term change, and allowing a person to develop an inner readiness and a willingness to take responsibility. And this awareness is not passive anxiety, but a form of clarity. It prevents you from getting lost in favorable situations and prepares you before risks even arrive. It does not make you afraid of the future, but gives you the capacity to see it. As the saying goes, 先天下之忧而忧，后天下之乐而乐. To worry before others worry, and to rejoice after others' joys. When a person truly carries this kind of perspective, their starting point is no longer personal gain or loss, but a broader sense of responsibility. And this very mindset generates strength. And when foresight and awareness of concern exist together, then a person does not chase opportunities blindly, nor treat because of risks, but continues to move forward while adjusting, remaining neither reckless nor fearful. Because of this, such individuals are able to create long-term and practical strategies. They do not rely on luck, but on continuous observation and adjustment, gradually making the future more visible and manageable. So if you observe closely, a truly stable person is not someone without pressure, but someone who has prepared before pressure arises. Their inner space is large enough to hold change. So external fluctuations does not easily disturb them. And when a person develops this level of awareness, they are able not only to seize opportunities, but also to remain calm in the face of challenges. Even finding direction in complexity. And this ability is not innate, but cultivated through continuous growth in understanding and inner refinement. And as a person continues to grow, their actions are no longer only for themselves. They begin to influence others. Their choices and judgments naturally become references, even benchmarks for those around them. This is why it is said that when a person possesses both foresight and awareness of concern, they can move further and more steadily, take on greater responsibility, and pass this mindset on to others, enabling more people to develop the same capacity and perspective. So in this process, what we truly need to cultivate is not just the skills or methods, but this way of seeing, an ability to look at both the long term and the whole picture. And once this is established, many decisions begin to become naturally clear. And when this kind of awareness, thank you for your kind words. Thank you. I'm from China and I'm introducing Xuemo's works. Xuemo is the one in the poster. Hello, glad to see our old friends here. Thank you. I'm here in Western China in the hometown of Mr. Xuemo. and we are introducing Xuemo's works and the Xuemo mindology into the world on live session, through live session. Hi, yes, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much. So when this kind of awareness, this combination of foresight and inner concern begins to take root within a person, it no longer stays as an idea, but gradually transforms into the way they see the world, shaping how they observe people, how they interpret situations, and how they make decisions in moments that seem uncertain to others. And this is also something that Xuemo often expresses in his works, that true understanding is never separated from its life self. It naturally reveals itself in how a person walks through the world, not in what they claim to know, but in what they are able to discern. So gradually, you may begin to notice that the difference between people is not simply effort or opportunity, but a deeper layer of perception. Because some people seem to be standing in the same place as everyone else, yet they are able to see a completely different landscape. And perhaps as you are listening to this, you may start to reflect on your own experiences, moments where something felt unclear at the time, but later became obvious, and realize that what is missing was not effort, but a certain kind of awareness. So this is where the next layer begins, because once a person truly develops this kind of awareness, they no longer just understand the concepts, but begin to understand the world itself. Hi, if you are just joining us, we are exploring a very deep idea about awareness and long-term success. So take your time and you can just listen for a moment and see how it feels. You're joining at a good moment. So 有时能明视，登山小天下. Those who have awareness are able to understand the world. And when you stand at a higher place, everything below begins to look smaller and clearer, not because the world has changed, but because your perspective has shifted. So, hi everyone. For those who just arrived, we are right in the middle of something quite meaningful. So you are joining at a good moment. And it's glad to see people from different of the world gathering here. And thank you for your time. So as we continue to grow, move towards success, and try to build something that can last, it is not enough to only have ambition. We also need this discernment, the ability to see clearly who is worth trusting, who is worth following, and what truly deserves our time and energy. And this kind of discernment is not based on surface impressions or temporary emotions. It requires a certain level of calmness, the ability to step back from immediate reactions and make decisions with clarity. And this is something that Xuemo often points to, that Real understanding is not about reacting quickly, but about seeing deeply. Because when you see deeply enough, the right choice almost becomes obvious. A person with the true awareness knows what the world needs and what the time calls. And because of that, they begin to see opportunities where others see nothing. So you may notice that opportunities are not rare, they are everywhere, but not everyone is able to recognize them because opportunity is not just something that appears, it is something that must be seen. So why is it that some entrepreneurs are able to build something truly great while others remain at a much smaller scale? Often it is not because they work harder, but because they see further. They are able to notice possibilities in small details, to recognize patterns before they become obvious, and to act before others are even aware that something is happening. And they are willing to take the first step, even when there is uncertainty, because their decision is not based on impulse, but on a deeper level of understanding. Hi, I see many new friends joining. Welcome. You are stepping into a very thoughtful conversation. Welcome. And we spend time here reflecting on life and growth. So if that's something you value, feel free to stay connected. And you can follow our channel. Thank you. Thank you for your support. So some people may also sense that there is an opportunity, but because they lack this kind of awareness, they also lack the ability to act. They hesitate, they hold back, and eventually miss the moment. So even if they have a small intuition, they do not dare to fully commit, or they only move in a very superficial way, never really stepping into the opportunity. Those with greater awareness are different. They are able to distinguish what truly belongs to the future, and because of that, they are not afraid of temporary loss. They understand that sometimes, in order to gain something real, you must be willing to lose something temporary. And this understanding gives them a kind of stability. And because of this, they are able to commit deeply, even when the outcome is not yet visible, because they are not driven by immediate results, but by long term clarity. When the time finally comes and the trend becomes reality, they are already prepared. And what looks like luck from the outside is actually the result of long term awareness and quiet preparation. And this is also why on this channel, we are not just talking about ideas, but trying to understand how awareness can actually be developed and lived. Because only when it becomes part of you, you can it begin to shape your reality. Hi, welcome to our channel. Yes, I'm Chinese, and we are sharing the traditional wisdom through Xuemo's works. So interestingly, those who truly see further often appear to be idealists, people who are not easily understood, who may even face doubt or setbacks along the way. But it is often exactly these people who hold on to something beyond immediate reality who are able to achieve results that others cannot even imagine. So, um, have you ever heard about 曾国藩? 曾国藩. You know, the big families always have their family teachings. So the Guofan once emphasized in his family teaching that when handling important matters, awareness should be the foundation, while ability serves only as support. And he placed a great importance on insight, believing that discernment is even more essential than talent itself. And when you look closely at this idea, you begin to realize that ability can help you execute, but without awareness, you may be moving quickly in the wrong direction, while a person with true discernment may move more slowly at first, but is far less likely to lose their way. So, whether we thank you for your support. So, whether it is a kind of awareness we have been speaking about, or the insight that Sun Guofan referred to, they are both forms of perceiving the world at a deeper level, something that goes beyond knowledge and enters into understanding. And this is also something that Xuemo often reflects in his writings. That knowledge can be accumulated, but true understanding transforms how you see everything. And once that shift happens, your decisions begin to change naturally. I so really appreciate your your spending this time here. It means a lot. So, and I see some familiar names here. Welcome back. So we are talking about the kind of awareness, and the awareness is a deeper perspective to the world, and something that goes beyond knowledge and enters into understanding. And this is also something that Xuemo often reflects in his writings, that knowledge can be accumulated, but true understanding transforms how you see everything. And once that shift happens, your decisions begin to change naturally. Thank you. Welcome back. And thank you for your time being here. So, Liu Bang and Sima Yi are both figures in history known for their far-sighted awareness. And what made them stand out was not only their actions, but their ability to see possibilities that others could not see yet. And after the fall of Qing dynasty, Liu Bang saw the, the possibility of a unified empire, and through gathering talent and making the right strategic decisions, he eventually achieved his vision. And what is interesting is that at that time, many people were also acting, many were competing, but not everyone saw the same future. And this is where awareness quietly creates distance between people. Sima Yi, on the other hand, saw opportunity within the Wei regime, and through patience and strategy, he eventually looked to control, laying the foundation for the Jin dynasty. So, if you look at this more deeply, what allowed him to wait was not simply patience, but clarity. Because when a person truly sees the long term direction, they are able to endure what others cannot endure. These historical figures did not succeed by chance. Their achievements came from their ability to see ahead and to make accurate judgments about future. And perhaps when you hear these stories, they may seem distant, but in reality, the same principle is present in our everyday life. Because in every decision you make, there is always a layer of what you see and what you do not see. So that is why we keep returning to the idea of awareness, not as something abstract, but as something that can slowly be cultivated. Because once you begin to see differently, your path will also begin to unfold differently. And in today's world, as China has rapidly developed and gradually moved toward the forefront of the global stage, those entrepreneurs who possess true foresight have been able to seize the initiative within the ties of this era, riding the momentum, moving forward with determination, and advancing without hesitation. And what it really shows is that the world is always moving. Opportunities are always emerging, but only those who can truly see the direction of change are able to step into that movement at the right time. For example, Ren Zhengfei, the founder of Huawei, perceived the future development trend of communication technology as well as the critical importance of core technologies. And uh, because of this, even when facing great difficulties, he remained fully committed to the telecommunications field. And this kind of commitment was not simply persistence, but a decision rooted in deep understanding. Because when a person truly sees the long term values of something, their focus is no longer easily shaken by temporary setbacks. So he invested all his energy into developing switching technology and even made the bold decision to challenge the dominance of foreign brands in China's telecommunications market, something that at the time seemed almost impossible. So if you look at this moment from the outside, it may appear like risk, even like a gamble. But from his perspective, it was a necessary step aligned with a larger direction. And so I don't know whether you have heard about Huawei before in your country? Is Huawei famous in your country? During the development of the CNC 08 digital programmed controlled switch, Ren Zhengfei did not hesitate to take on debt, using his personal credibility to sustain the project and inject life into its progress. And this is where you begin to see the real difference between simply recognizing an opportunity and fully committing to it. Because awareness without action remains potential, but awareness combined with courage becomes transformation. And this breakthrough not only brought returns to Huawei, but also demonstrated the innovative capabilities of Chinese enterprises within the high-tech field, showing that true advancement comes from those who are willing to invest deeply into the future. And this is also something that Xuemo often expresses that insight alone is not enough. It must be lived through action. Because only through action does understanding begin to shape reality. And while we rise from this point, what eventually led it to become a leading company in the global telecommunications field. But what people often see is the result, not the long period of quiet preparation and difficult decisions behind it. And perhaps as you're listening to this, you may begin to notice that in your own life, there are also moments where something asks for deeper commitment. And the question is not whether the opportunity exists, but whether you are able to see it clearly and step into it fully. So it is not a problem if you do not yet have ability, because ability can be gradually acquired through learning and training. But what is truly concerning is the lack of awareness, because without awareness, even effort may not lead in the right direction. As long as the person has awareness and understands how to choose, then through continuous practice, ability will naturally begin to grow. And over time, what once felt difficult will slowly become familiar. So there is no need to be over anxious about not being capable in the beginning, because every role has its place, even something as small as a screw plays an essential part within a larger system. So if you look carefully, every machine, every system relies on these seemingly insignificant parts, because without them, the whole structure cannot function properly. And this also reflects something deeper, that value is not always determined by how visible something is, but by how necessary it is within the whole. So when certain tasks appear unimportant, it does not mean they lack value. It simply means their importance is not always immediately recognized. Hi, Anita. Actually, I am sharing the wisdom from the book. The book, which book? One of Xuemo's book, 道德法术士, about the five dimensions from the traditional wisdom that which makes an, an enterprise lasts. 道德法术士 can be Tao and virtue, strategy, and the trends. So I'm talking about, but um, every actually almost all Xuemo's books based on very deep insight. So you can read like any of his book and find your preferred one. So we are talking about awareness, and this is where awareness becomes essential again, because with awareness, a person can understand which roles to take, which responsibilities to carry, and how each part contributes to a larger direction. If certain responsibilities are left unfulfilled, then those who are capable will have no choice but to take them on. And in doing so, they may lose the opportunity to focus on more important matters. So those who are willing to take on tasks that seem less significant are in fact playing an important role because they are allowing the whole system to function more smoothly. But all of this is still built upon awareness because without awareness, even a capable person may fail to make the right choices and may end up placing their effort in the wrong place. It is like having the strength of a 1,000-mile horse, yet choosing to remain idle in a stable, not because of lack of ability, but because of lack of direction. And this is why, without awareness, ability alone loses its meaning because it no longer knows where to go and what to serve. And this is something that Xuemo often reflects in his work, that what truly shapes a person's path is not just what they can do, but what they are able to see. Okay, it is so important that what truly shapes a person's path is not just what they can do, but what they are able to see. So in the end, the real question is not whether you are capable enough, but whether you are seeing clearly enough. Because once clarity is present, the path begins to unfold on its own. Some companies are truly excellent, and for employees, they provide a platform where people can fully express and develop their abilities. So, regardless of whether a specific task seems important or not, over time, individuals are still able to move toward their larger aspirations. And if you look more closely, what makes such a platform valuable is not just the opportunities it offers, but the direction it holds. Because when the direction is right, even small steps begin to accumulate meaning. But those who lack awareness just do not see it in this way. They tend to weigh immediate gains and it offered slightly better compensation elsewhere. They may quickly change past positions without considering their previous commitments. And over time, such choices may not lead them to the life they expect. In fact, for some, their situation may even become more difficult because constant movement without direction creates instability. And there are also those with even less awareness who may use their position to gain small personal advantage, taking what they can in the moment without considering the consequences. But eventually, when problems surface, they find themselves unable to remain because what is built on short term gain cannot sustain itself over time. And this also reflects a deeper pattern that how people act within an organization is closely related to the overall culture of that organization. because people naturally adapt to the environment they are in. If a leader is driven primarily by personal gain, then the people they attract are likely to share the same mindset. And relationships within such an environment become transactional rather than meaningful. And in such a setting, there is little sense of shared vision. People are not building something together, they are simply participating in a series of transactions. As an old saying goes, those who come together for profit will scatter once the profit is gone. So it is an old saying in China, 以利相交者，利尽而疏. Those who come together for profit will scatter once the profit is gone. Because when the foundation is built only on gain, it cannot sustain long-term connection. So this is why awareness once again becomes central. Because with awareness, a person is able to see beyond immediate profit and benefit and choose environments, relationships, and paths that carry deeper meaning. There was an entrepreneur whose employees were constantly trying to gain something from him. Everyone around him was focused on extracting benefits, and in the end, his business collapsed. All the employees left, and no one remained by his side. And when you look at this situation, it may seem like a problem of people, but in reality, it reflects something deeper because the kind of people you attract often mirrors the kind of awareness you hold. The reason for this outcome was precisely because this entrepreneur lacked broader awareness and was overly driven by personal gain. And as a result, he attracted people who also lacked awareness and integrity. So you can share your thoughts in the chat. I love to hear different perspectives. And this kind of people who are gathering together for profit will not share hardship with you, nor will they devote themselves wholeheartedly to your enterprise because their connection is based on benefit, not on shared direction. Thank you for your time being here. So once again, we return to this point that it is not a problem if a person lacks ability, but it becomes a serious limitation if they lack awareness. Because without awareness, one cannot make the right choices. And when choices are repeatedly misaligned, it does not matter how capable a person is. Things will still fail to come together in a meaningful way. Awareness for an entrepreneur is of critical importance because it determines not only the height a business can reach, but also how long it can sustain itself. And in fact, this is not limited to business. The same principle applies to each of us because the trajectory of our life is also shaped by what we are able to see. the height of one's life is often determined by one's awareness, because only those who see clearly are able to act appropriately. Of course, those who lack awareness can learn from those who have it, and through that process, gradually begin to develop their own understanding. And once awareness begins to form, clarity follows, and with clarity, action becomes more aligned, more steady, and more meaningful. So, what truly matters is to remain open to learning, to stay connected with those who see further, and to continuously refine one's own perception. And this is all something that Xuemo often reflects. That growth is not about accumulation alone, but about transformation in how we see. Because once they see change, everything else begins to follow. There is a saying that the average value of the six people you spend the most time with becomes your own value. And this idea carries the certain truth because people are shaped by the environment they are in and the people they are surrounded by. The kind of people you stay close to, the kind of conversations you repeatedly engage, and the perspectives you are exposed to gradually form the way you see the world and ultimately influence the direction of your life. So, in a very real sense, who you are becoming is closely related to who you are walking with. And this is why it is said that things gather by kind and people group by similarity. 物以类聚，人以群分. Things gather by kind and people group by similarity. Because over time, people tend to move toward those who reflect their own level of awareness and values. If the people around you lack initiative and long-term vision, then even if you yourself have potential, it may slowly be diluted and your life may begin to feel ordinary and directionless. So it becomes important not to interact with others without principle or discernment, but to choose carefully the people you work with and to build relationships that truly support growth. And perhaps as you reflect on this, you may begin to notice that not everyone you meet will remain in your life. Because while we may encounter many people, only a small number will truly stay connected with us over time. Some studies suggest that most people only maintain constant contact with with fewer than 60 individuals, and among them, those with deep and close connections are often no more than a small circle. So, even though the world may seem vast, the world you truly experience is only often shaped by a relatively small number of people who constantly influence your thoughts and decisions. Beyond this circle, much of what we know about the wider world comes indirectly through books, media, or observation, and while these expand our understanding, they do not replace direct human connection. And even if you actively seek out new perspectives, travel, or engage in conversations with different people, the core group that surrounds you remains the most influential. They are like companions on a long journey. Some may appear briefly, like passengers who get on and off, while a few remain with you through many stages, shaping your experience in deeper ways. And this is why choosing who to work with becomes one of the most important decisions, because these relationships quietly define the environment in which your awareness grows. And in the end, a person's level of awareness can often be seen through their state of being. Because when someone is able to, so when someone is able to see widely and clearly, it is like standing at a higher point where the view naturally expands, and just like reaching the top of a mountain where everything becomes open and distant. Those with greater awareness begin to perceive not only what is in front of them, but also what lies beyond. This is why it is often said that entrepreneurs must develop this kind of far-sighted awareness, because only then can they move with clarity and navigate complexity with confidence. And this is also something that Xuemo often reflects, that true growth is not just about doing more, but about seeing further. Because once your vision expands, your path naturally changes. And perhaps as we come to this point, what slowly becomes clear is that everything we have been speaking about is not separate pieces of advice, but a single thread running through it all. That awareness is not something distant or abstract. It is present in every choice you make, in every person you work with, in every moment when you decide whether to follow what is easy or what is true. And over time, these quiet decisions accumulate, shaping not only what you achieve, but who you become. Because in the end, life is not determined by a single moment of effort, nor by one opportunity alone, but by the depth of what you are able to see. Because what you see defines what you choose, and what you choose defines the path you walk. And the path you walk over time becomes your destiny. And this is why it is not about rushing to become capable, nor about chasing after results, but about learning to see more clearly, to stand a little higher in your perception, to step out immediate gain and lose, and begin to understand the larger movement that you are part of. And this kind of seeing does not happen overnight. It is cultivated slowly through reflection, through learning, through the people you choose to be close to, and through the willingness to question what once felt certain and to grow beyond it. And this is also something that Xuemo continues to reveal in his works, that true transformation is not about adding more to yourself, but about awakening a deeper clarity within yourself. Because once clarity is present, many things no longer require force. They begin to unfold naturally. So perhaps what matters most is not whether you already have everything you need, but whether you are willing to begin seeing differently from this moment. because even a slight shift in awareness can, over time, lead to a completely different horizon. So as we come to the end of the sharing, this is not really an ending, but more like a pause. And where you can carry these reflections with you, not as conclusions, but as something to continue observing within your own life. And if any part of this has resonated with you, then perhaps that is already the beginning of a different way of seeing. And what we have shared here is drawn from the works and insights from Xuemo. And if you would like to explore more, to go deeper into these ideas and experience them in a more complete way, you can find his books on Amazon or through our global store at shop.xuemo.com. And wherever you are in your journey right now, there is no need to rush because clarity grows step by step. And every moment of awareness, no matter how small, is already a meaningful movement forward. Okay, glad to see new friends gathering here. Hello, welcome. So today we have talked about the importance of the awareness. And the awareness is something very real, that something quietly shapes how we see, how we feel, and how we live. Because without awareness, we may spend our whole life reacting, following patterns we never questioned, chasing things we never truly choose, and repeating cycles we never truly saw. But with awareness, even the same life begins to feel different. So we see more clearly, we react less and slowly to actually live instead of just continuing. So it is not about give us a new belief, but help us see our existing ones, and not to change the world outside immediately, but to begin with a mind that sees the world. Because when mind changes, the world we experience also changes. So, and after talking about the awareness, and this is also the wisdom from wisdom and insight from Xuemo's works. And next, I'd like to introduce Xuemo briefly. Who is Xuemo? So, Xuemo, born in 1963 as Chen Kaihong, is a renowned writer from Gansu, Western China. He has written over 80 books, published in more than 200 editions, with translations available in over 28 languages, including English, French, German, Korean, Russian, and Spanish. Xuemo is one of China's most influential contemporary writers. His audiobook, Buddha's Wisdom, Xuemo interprets the Diamond Sutra on the Himalaya platform, has been played over 35 million times and remains a top-ranking program. His series What's on Lao's Mind, Xuemo interprets Dao De Jing has sold nearly 1 million copies in China. Since 2019, his works have been featured in independent booths at major international book fairs and film festivals in Germany, London, the United States, and across Asia. In 2022, he topped the International Media Spotlight list at the Frankfurt Book Fair, drawing more attention than the guest of honor, Spain. This achievement was hailed as one of the most remarkable and memorable events of the Frankfurt Book Fair 2022. Notably, more than 10 of his works have been translated by Howard Goldblatt and Li Chunling, the distinguished translators of Nobel Prize-winning literature. Research centers devoted to his work have been established at Ningbo University and Central South University. Xuemo's novel Into the Desert won the 2022 Excellent Translation Award by the China International Communications Group, CICG, the 2024 NYC Big Book Award for Women's Fiction, and the 2024 Independent Press Award for Literary Fiction. Xuemo has been named the International Impact Book Awards Author of the Year 2025 for Into the Desert. His novel Curses of the Kingdom of Xixia won the 2024 NYC Big Book Award for World Literature. The novel Wild Fox Rage won the 2024 International Impact Book Awards. It was also honored with the 2025 International Book Awards and the 2026 NYC Big Book Award. White Tiger Pass received the 2026 International Impact Book Awards. He has been nominated 3 times for the Maodun Literature Prize and has won the Dunhuang Literature and Art Award 6 consecutive times. The ebook editions of Desert Rights, Desert Hunters, White Tiger Pass, Love Letters from the Goddess, Eternal Love, and Reclaim the Throne of Your Heart have repeatedly ranked #1 on Amazon's bestseller list. So this is an introduction of Mr. Xuemo. And I will introduce his books that is available on Amazon. So this is the latest published English edition of Xuemo's work, Reclaim the Throne of Your Heart. And this book is a reflective and practical guide for modern readers living under stress and uncertainty. The author Xuemo suggests that much of human suffering does not come only from the outside world, but from inner attachment, confusion, and misperception. Real change begins with inner clarity. This book translates profound Eastern wisdom into accessible, everyday language and practical insight. It is not written as a religious text, but as a human guide showing how transforming one's inner awareness can gradually transform one's actions and one's life direction. And one of the key messages of the book is life is shaped by the mind. When the mind becomes clear, the path opens. So over the years, the book has helped many readers facing anxiety, grief, and life crisis rediscover inner stability and strength. It is not only for reading, it is meant to be practiced in daily life. So you may think of it as a book about inner autonomy, a bridge between wisdom and daily living, a guide from anxiety toward clarity. So reclaim the throne of your heart by Xuemo. You can search for Xuemo, Xuemo, Xuemo on Amazon, or you can explore more of Xuemo's books on our online shop, shop.xuemo.com. Reclaim the throne of your heart. And next, I will introduce eternal love. It is also translated by Howard Goldblatt and Sophie Chunlin, renowned translators of Nobel Prize winning literary works. And this novel unfolds as an eternal dance between light and darkness, life and death, despair and love. Eternal Love is a deeply moving epistolary novel told through 34 letters and diary entries exchanged between a young woman named Yato, diagnosed with terminal tongue cancer, and the author Xuemo. In her final month, she writes not seeking pity, but understanding, meaning, and peace. Through their correspondence, they explore life's most profound questions. What is the meaning of existence? How do we face death without fear? Can love truly transcend the body? So, for anyone who has faced a serious illness or witnessed a loved one suffering, this book speaks directly to the soul. Xuemo's letters are not medical advice but spiritual medicine, guiding Yato not to fight death but to find freedom within it. He shares stories, moments of silence, and a world of poetry and light as her physical world fades. Readers often describe eternal love as a companion in grief, a book that teaches how to love without attachment and see beauty even in pain. It reminds us that while the body may perish, love never falls, and the spirit remains eternal. At its heart, this is a story of redemption through compassion, how love can transcend suffering, how the soul may awaken in its final moments, and how every ending can also become a beginning. And this book is rich with insights such as all suffering arises from the mind. As the street, whether we chase or release, persist or surrender, all is a choice of the heart. When the heart is upright, life becomes simple. And why journey far and wide? If not to find a home for the soul, why not cherish each moment and taste all that life offers? Sunshine or storm, each has its flavor. And what truly wounds us is never the event itself, but the gap between expectation and reality. We suffer not from what happens, but from the stories and fears we create in our minds. Eternal love teaches that every experience, joy or sorrow, is part of the journey toward inner peace. If you seek calm, healing, or the courage to love again, this book will speak to your heart. It shows that the true cure for fear and despair lies not in medicine, but in connection, empathy, and in the awakening. That is why many readers call it a letter from the soul to the soul. For anyone walking through illness, loss, or emotional pain, this book offers light, calm, and courage. It is a novel for those in search of healing, spiritual peace, and a gentle reminder that love never dies, it only transforms. So, Eternal Love, available on Amazon. Eternal Love by Xuemo, a testament to faith, hope, and redemption. And the world is a reflection of the mind. This book offers a voice of spiritual wisdom for the anxious modern soul, unveiling truth, awakening wisdom, pointing directly to the mind, transforming the mind, and thus destiny. Your destiny is a reflection of your mind. The world you perceive is also a reflection of your mind. As is your mind, so is your destiny. As is your mind, so is your world. This book contains 42 essays, a collection of spiritual writings specifically crafted by the author Xuemo for contemporary readers. Drawing from over 20 years of personal immersion in and practice of Chinese mind philosophy and Eastern wisdom, and attuned to the disposition and life of modern people, Xuemo offers a timely, accessible exposition of the core theme of the mind, moving beyond abstract terminology to point directly to the mind, emphasizing the unity of principle and practice. The work combines the profound distillation of philosophical thought with concrete, actionable methods for readers in pursuit of higher meaning in life. This book is nothing less than a feast for the soul. And Mr. Xuemo often says, destiny is forged by the mind. Your destiny is a reflection of your mind. The world you perceive is also a reflection of your mind. As is your mind, so is your destiny. As is your mind, so is your world. Only when your mind expands can your world expand. Without a transformation of the mind, there can be no transformation of destiny. Therefore, you may also call this book the methods for forging destiny. And among its readers, many have changed their destinies by applying the wisdom within this page. They include those diagnosed with terminal illness, those suffering from severe depressions, those engulfed in unbearable grief after losing loved ones, and those disillusioned and weary of the world. Most, upon encountering this work, achieved a sublimation of their destinies through a fundamental change of mind. And hence, some friends expressed the wish that the author might popularize and secularize this wisdom. Compact volume, accessible even to those without specific religious beliefs, enabling them Two, to find relief from suffering and attain happiness. So, the world is a reflection of the mind by Xuemo. It is also available on Amazon and our online store shop.xuemo.com. Shop.xuemo.com. So, so these are for today's live session. Thank you for your time being here. Thank you. What about and oh, glad to see that. See this. You have ordered the yellow book. So you mean the Reclaim the Throne of Your Heart. Read more good books. Yes. So read Xuemo and power up your life. Yes. Read Xuemo, power up your life. So thank you for your time. See you next time.